I'm Hester Prynne, DJ and licensed therapist. This is Music is Therapy. Your session starts now. What's up? It's me, your girl, DJ Hester Prynne. It is my birthday, March 20th. It's my birthday. If you want to see a really adorable photo of me being my true self before I even knew what my true self was, I urge you to go over to my Instagram at Hester Prynne Music, because I put up a photo of myself from my bat mitzvah, and I'm in a dress that I designed myself. And I'm holding up a sign, and the sign says, "Everybody dance now." I love this photo so much because I remember it being taken, because I remember the feeling of being on the dance floor with a pair of sunglasses on and that song, "Everybody dance now." And I remember how it made me come alive. And as I was kind of looking through my photos and what I wanted to post on my birthday, that photo, of course, always comes up. And kind of next to it in the same group, a photo from my podcast release party came up. And in this photo, I'm standing on stage. I'm doing my intermix experience, which, if you don't know, is a live, like, coaching music, Tony Robbins type on the dance floor thing that I do. And I did one for my podcast release party in New York in January. And there's a photo of me, and I'm standing up with my arms open wide, like this. If you're watching the video, you see my arms open wide and my head thrown back. And on the screen behind me, it says, "Feel the rain on your skin." What I was doing was I was directing people to connect a dream and a promise to this song. That's what I do. I connect, the lyrics to the song to the intention that you're making. And through neuroscience, when you repeat the intention and you link it to the lyric over and over and over, like Pavlov's dog, eventually the lyric does the lifting for you. I should really talk more about this on this show, because this is my work, right? And so in this photo, I'm teaching people to do this, and I A-B'd them. I went and saw the picture of myself at 13 holding up the sign to tell people, "Everybody dance now." It's the picture of me in 2026 in front of the sign saying, "Feel the rain on your skin." And it honestly brings tears to my eyes, because I think every one of us knows what our gifts are, or maybe our gifts are sort of coming through us at a young age. Just do we have the courage to follow our dream? So it's my birthday. I don't have a guest today, and I don't even have a script today. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit, maybe for 10 or 15 minutes or so, about what I think and what I believe and what I wish and what's going on in my life. And I'm going to do it through music. So when I was on Sirius XM, before I was on iHeart, I had a show that some of you heard, and it was called Think Like a DJ. And what I would do is they would give me a theme, like, protest songs for Martin Luther King Jr. Weekend, or, Women's History Month. Of course, that was always my lane. They were always like, "Oh, it's a women's thing, call her." But they would give me like a women's history thing, and I'd make a playlist of all female songs. And I would run people through the playlist and explain why I chose these songs, 10 songs, or 11 songs, one after the next. And it was always because I was telling a story, this artist to this artist, or, the BPMs, the speed of this song matches the speed of this song, or the key to this song matches the key to this song, or in, this song, she talks about stars, and then I play it into Lucky Star. And so your brain makes that connection. Questlove taught me how to DJ. That's like my origin story. And I don't know if he even remembers showing me this back in Philly when I had a shaved head, like 20 years ago. But he kind of taught me how to do that, how to tell stories with the songs. And I just saw him DJ twice at South by Southwest. When I was working, when I wasn't working, I would go over and see him DJ. And he's still doing that at the highest level. And I'm kind of still doing that when I make playlists for people, when I make playlists for patients, when I'm DJing big parties, and when I make these playlists for you. So I thought it would be fun to walk through the playlist I made for this month, because the theme of this month is relationship to self. And I made a playlist called 10 Songs That Made Me. The caveat, of course, being that these are not necessarily my 10 favorite songs, or they're not necessarily songs I would play on the dance floor, but they're songs that made me me. So in a non-scripted way, in just like a let's be real in this moment type of way, I'm going to walk you through this playlist and tell you why I chose these songs. And I have a feeling a lot of what I believe and what I do and what I teach and what I love is going to come through. Are you with me? This is the part where if we were in the real space, if we were on the dance floor, I'd say, "Are you with me?" And you'd all go, "Yes." And then I'd go, "I'm a licensed clinician. Do you trust me?" And you'd go, "Yes." And I'd go, "Here we go. Close your eyes." But you don't have to close your eyes, because I can't play the songs. So I'm just going to talk you through them. Okay. The first song on this list is Night Swimming by R.E.M. And if you love this song, as many of us do, we know it starts like this. Da 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 da, right? Da 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 da. Night swimming deserves a quiet night. I'm sorry, but I gotta sing here because if I can't play the records, what else are we gonna do? The reason I picked this song is because I have a memory tied to this song. And the memory is one of my favorite memories of my entire life. So when I was a teenager, first of all, let me say, the songs you listen to when you were a teenager actually do hit the hardest. It's not necessarily that the songs of your teenage years were the best songs ever, although everyone thinks that, including me. It's that your neurobiologically, your brain was coming online in a new way. And so you really heard music for the very first time when you heard the songs of your teenage years. And this was a record that I heard at the right moment. So I went to a summer camp called French Woods, which is a performing arts camp. And a lot of incredible people went there. And I talk a lot about Adam Levine from Maroon 5, who is a dear friend of mine from when we were 15. And I talk about him because Adam used to speak the truth. He used to manifest his life and his dreams all the time. He was like a skinny, nerdy 15-year-old. And he would always say, I'm going to be the biggest rock star in the world and I'm going to marry a supermodel. We'd be like, all right, Levine, all right. All the time, over and over and over, like a mantra. It'd be the biggest rock star in the world. I'm going to marry a supermodel. And he did. So my amazing friends at French Woods helped me become who I am. I grew up in a place that was not conservative, but, you know, the idea of being an artist was maybe somewhat unusual. I didn't even know what kind of artist I wanted to be. I knew I loved records and I knew I loved talking about music. I thought maybe I'd be an actress because that seemed like the option, right? Because I wasn't like a guitar player like Courtney Love. So I went to French Woods and we would all hang out and we would play each other music. Talk about music. It's a little something called DJing. I just didn't know that at the time. And what was celebrated was art that you loved. Like you were cool at French Woods if you really loved art and you knew a lot about it and you stood behind it. And that was not what it was like when I was growing up, but that's what it was like at camp. And so I loved R.E.M. and I loved this song. I have this friend, Jill Sherman, who's still a friend of mine. She's amazing. And we were teenagers. And at this camp, there was like no oversight. And one night we went and we walked across to the other side of the lake in the middle of the night. We were like 15. And there were these two counselors who lived together in New York City, Pierre and JB. They were probably like 22, 23 years old. And they met us and we all walked across the other side of the lake. And we got to a dock and we were like, we're going to go night swimming. We're going to go night swimming, like in the R.E.M. record. And they're kind of standing there and we're kind of standing there. And my friend Jill, who is 15 years old, was like, oh my God, fuck it. And she took off all her clothes and she jumped in the lake. And so I was like, okay. And I took off all my clothes and jumped in the lake. And then these guys took off their clothes and jumped in the lake. We're swimming around for like, 5 minutes maybe. And the guys got spooked, as they should. Remember, this was a different time in the 90s. The guys got spooked. They thought they heard something. And Pierre and JB swam all the way from where we were in the lake back to camp. And I guess ran into the bunks where they were working, like naked probably. And me and Jill took our time. We got to the dock and we walked back. And I felt like my entire life was beginning in this moment. And we walked to the center of campus. This must have been 2:00 in the morning. And we got chalk somewhere. And we wrote out all the lyrics to Night Swimming on the path in front of the bunk where Pierre and JB lived with the little boys that they live with. We wrote out all the lyrics to Night Swimming. And then when the camp woke up, everybody saw the lyrics to Night Swimming, but we knew that we were the only ones who had gone. And I love that memory. I got to make sure Jill listens to this. Okay, moving on. Gratitude by Beastie Boys. Beastie Boys, if you know me, are maybe my most important band. My origin story is that I was in a band called Northern State, which is a feminist hip hop group. I'm going to get the girls from Northern State to come on in the month where we talk about Friends. So if you want that to happen, you got to harass Spiro on Instagram because I have Sprout all set up, but I got to get Spiro here because I want them to come to the iHeart office. And we loved the Beastie Boys and we wanted to be like a girl Beastie Boys. And that's what we started. And the way I got my name, Hester Prynne, which is not a name I would choose today. It's from the Scarlet Letter, of course, but I had a degree in women's studies from Oberlin, and we were all a bunch of young feminists. And Robin and Corinne, the two girls in my band, were like drinking, and I was maybe like 21. They were 23. And they were like, we're going to be in a girl Beastie Boys, and we want you to be the third MC. And I said, this is a direct quote, Okay, cool. But don't call it something over the top feminist like Hesta Prynne. And they go, that's your MC name. And I was like, cool. And then we would write rhymes and we would meet once a week and share our rhymes. And then we booked a show. Here comes the irony that I just remembered. Pierre from camp is the one who booked us our very first show at the Luna Lounge on Ludlow Street for old New Yorkers. We opened for Pierre's band. He must have been like 28 then, I guess, or 30, whatever. I was like 21. And it was great. And, we had this band. And I said, when they told me about this band, I said, we are going to sign a major label record deal. And they were like, no, we're not. And I was like, yes, we are. Because I was primed. I wanted to be an artist and I wanted to be a successful artist. And I needed like a vehicle, right? I didn't know what kind of artist. And they brought me this idea. And I was like, we're going to take this to the top. And we did. We took it to as far to the top as we could get. But it started my whole career. So one of the most incredible things that happened in that experience, almost unbelievable, truly, is that we were playing a show in New Orleans at a festival called Voodoo. And we're on stage, on like a side stage, and Sprout like is with me, like on the stage, and she like whispers to me and she goes, Ad Rock's over there watching the show. And I remember I was wearing a shirt from 555 Soul. 555 Soul used to give us clothes, And I was like, what? She was like, Ad Rock is over there watching the show. And I look into the wings, and this is a very small stage, and the Beastie Boys were the headliners of this whole festival. And Adam Horovitz was standing with Say Adams. I should tell Say this, so he'll think this is funny, but Adam and Say were standing on the stage watching us do this show. So we finished performing the show, and I guess we like walked to the side of the stage, and we're like, hey, Ad Rock, what's up, And he's like, hey, we've been following you guys. And I remember Spiro was like, you guys know who we are? And he was like, yeah, bro, we know who you are. And he's like, yeah, we really like you guys. We're like down with you guys. Like, do you want to come see our show? And we were like, yeah, okay, sure. We'd love to come see the Beastie Boys show. That's pretty cool. And he's like, yeah. Come to like the stage with us. So we get in this golf cart, me and Robin and Kareen and Adam Horovitz and Say, and we drive back to the backstage of the main stage. And I don't think at this point I'd ever been in like a real main stage at a music festival. Okay, so here's what's going on backstage. Thurston Moore is like making himself a sandwich. Spiro goes to the bathroom, and Frank Black from Pixies is like legit doing a number 2 in the bathroom, and then comes out of the stall and is like, oh my God, that was crazy. And Spiro's like washing her hands at the sink, and he walks out. She's like, oh my God. Green Day is back there. Everybody's hanging out. There's kids and dogs, and we're like, this is crazy. So the Beastie Boys show, it's going to start, and they bring us over to the side of the stage, the big stage. And I met Yauk that day. I mean, I met Mike D that day, but I met Yauk that day for the very first time. And I didn't know he would become such an important person in my life, but that was just the most beautiful thing. And they were so nice to us. And so we're standing on the side of the stage, and that's where I met Jim Shearer for the very first time. If you know Jim Shearer from MTV2 and from Sirius XM, dear friend of mine, massive Beastie Boys fan. I got to tell Jim to listen to this if he's not. But I met Jim, and we watched the motherfucking Beastie Boys headline the Voodoo Festival from the side of the stage. And I just remember being with my friends and thinking, I can't believe this is real. If I could tell my 16-year-old self driving around in the car on Long Island listening to Check Your Head that I would have been invited here by these guys to watch the show, oh my God, I would die. These memories make me cry because they're all music memories. So I put the song Gratitude on this list from Check Your Head because there's some beautiful lyrics in here, and I would read them to you if I had them up. I will eventually. But there's some beautiful lyrics here, and I think the message of the song about having gratitude is a really powerful one. And meeting those guys changed my life. We worked with Adam on 2 records. On my last album, Can I Keep This Pen? Adam did a couple of records for us and a remix, and we opened for La Tigra, and we met Kathleen through Adam, and so many other amazing things. And then Yauk inspired me to do this therapy work in the first place. So moving on, let's go with Yellow Ledbetter by Pearl Jam. Here's another backstage story that also includes the Beastie Boys. Okay. I was at Bonnaroo one year. This is like after the band ended. I started a solo project, and I put out some music, and I got a publishing deal, and I was a writer. But I was really lost again. And so I was at Bonnaroo and Beastie Boys performed. It was their very, very last show before MCA got sick and they didn't perform again. And I was missing the show. And so I was like running to get there. And I ran across the front row of like the main stage of Bonnaroo. They weren't the headliner, but they played, like kind of late. And I ran across and Adam Harvitz saw me from the stage and he was like, what the fuck? And they go, something in the house. I can't remember, like Bonnaroo in the house. And then Harvitz gets on the mic in front of 30,000 people and he goes, Northern State in the house, as I was running across, and my phone like exploded because like everyone on earth kind of heard that happen. And Spiro wasn't there and she texted me and people who were there texted me. It was very cool. And then after the show, the guys from Bonnaroo gave me a recording of that show so that I could hear that. But I also love Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. So Pearl Jam played Bonnaroo. They were a headliner. And I was working there. Like the guys from Superfly kind of, gave me a gig here and there. I helped them with a record. I helped them with this and that and the other thing. So I was at Bonnaroo and I had a golf cart. And Janine Garofalo, it was a fan of my band's and is kind of like a friend of mine. And I was hanging out with her. And I said, you got to introduce me to Eddie Vedder because I've loved Eddie Vedder my whole life. And, she's like, Eddie loves me. I'm in love with him, but he loves me. And I'm going to introduce you to him. And it's going to be great. Okay, fine. So we make this plan what to do before the Pearl Jam show. And she's like, come pick me up. We'll go together and we'll go backstage and we'll hang out. Okay. So I pick her up and she gets in the golf cart, me, her, and Louis C.K., the comedian. And she's like, this is my friend Louis. He's getting divorced. Like, you guys are going to love each other. And I was like, all right, whatever. Louis, you're in the mix. I didn't know anything about comedy, by the way. I didn't know who he was. You're in the mix. Let's go. So we go and we drive to like the backstage of Bonnaroo. And, they're there. Pearl Jam's like all there. I was very not cool in this moment at all. So Pearl Jam's there. We're like sitting on a couch. My lawyer, Elliot Groffman, who's like a take pity on me type of lawyer because he loves me, but I don't make him any money. But Pearl Jam's his band. He makes him a lot of money. So Elliot's on the couch and he's like, oh, Julie, come over here. You got to meet my friends. I'm like sitting there talking to this guy. And I was like, oh, I'm Julie. And he's like, I'm Stone. And I'm like, fuck, Stone Gossard, totally. And so I'm there. Louis is with me. Janine went into Eddie's like trailer to hang out and talk. And then she totally vanished. She disappeared. I'm like backstage, like a total just fan, feeling like a big complete nerd. And I'm like, I got to get out of here. So me and Louis go to catering and we have dinner and we're talking. I'm like, you don't understand. I wanted to marry Eddie Vedder my whole life. I didn't meet him, all this. We go see the show. The show is amazing. We go backstage at the end of the show. I can't find Janine anywhere. And I'm like, I got to do this. This is like my moment. This is my moment. So Louis and me go into Eddie Vedder's trailer and he's sitting there and I'm sitting there. Louis C.K. is sitting there and like nobody's saying anything. And eventually he's like, Eddie's like, kind of like, who are you? Like, why are you here? And I'm like, oh, I was in this band and I know Janine and, I really love your band. I say to the lead singer of Pearl Jam. And we were talking about some Neil Young song or something that I liked. And I'm like, fuck, I got to get out of here. This is so awkward. Louis didn't say a word. It's literally just me and Eddie. So awkward. And I had worked on this children's TV show called Pancake Mountain. I did like some songs for them. And Eddie actually sang a song with them called that the guys in Fugazi wrote. It was called Vowel Movement. It was a children's song about vowels. And I would said to him, oh, I love your song, Yellow Ledbetter. That's like my favorite song. And when I was a teenager, I would listen to it and it's played in guitar and we would sing it. And, I really wanted you to play it and you played it at the show and I loved it, whatever. And he's like, yeah. And then he looks at me and he goes, it's no vowel movement though, right? And I was like, yeah, it's no vowel movement. We got to go. So me and Louis left and I was like, that was crazy. It was so awkward. And I get a message from Janine Garofalo that's like a voice memo. And she's like, I got so high. I love Eddie so much. It was so awkward. Like I had to leave and I'm sorry I left you, but I hope you got to meet him and you should really date Louis and on and on and on and on. Okay. That's my meeting Eddie Vedder story. Moving on. Here's a song called Sonnet by the Verve. Urban Hymns is one of my favorite albums. Anyone like Urban Hymns here? Email me, musicistherapypod@gmail.com if you love Urban Hymns. When this album came out, I listened to it like a billion times in a row. I was going to NYU, and I really loved this record. And so they played at Irving Plaza, and I don't know how I got tickets because I didn't have any money, but apparently I got tickets, and I went alone. And I remember Richard Ashcroft played like they brought like a carpet, like a Arabian carpet, right? And he played on the carpet, and he was so fantastic. And I loved this record so much. I mean, I still listen to this album all the time, to be honest with you. I love this record so much. And afterwards, I went and asked the security guard, and I was 19, and I was like, "Where's the after party? Like, where's the band going?" And he's like, "They're going to Clementine," which is a club that used to be on Fifth Avenue and 8th Street or 10th Street that I would never get invited to. I didn't know anybody. I'd never like seen a famous person in my life at this point. And so I went to Clementine, and I remember I waited online, and Serena Outshul was in front of me, and they like walked her right in. And they're like, "Why are you here?" But I was alone, and I was cute, you know? And I said, I like name dropped my friend's dad, who was Bob Dylan's agent. And I just like name dropped this girl I went to college with. She does not know this. I don't think she listens to the show. And they let me into this party. And of course, both Adams from the Beastie Boys were there, but I didn't know them yet. And I saw Claire Danes in the bathroom, and I saw Anna Sui, and all of these kind of like amazing, cool 90s music people that I idolized were all at this party, this after party for the Verve. But actually, I think it was maybe an after party for something else that the Verve was invited to. And I remember I just like walked around that, and I was like, I can't believe that I made it here. I can't believe I got in here. Like, I guess all you really have to do is just know where you're going and say something. And I always remembered that story. And I went back to the show the next day, and I was like, what is the Verve going to play tomorrow? Because Urban Hymns was great, but they had another album that I loved with a song called Blue on it that I still listen to a lot. The record's called The Storm in Heaven. Blue is a great song. And they had a bunch of singles, like a B-sides record. And I went to the show, and I was right in the front because it was a general admission. I went by myself again. And I was like, here we go. And they played the exact same set. They played the same exact set. And I remember I was so mad. I was like so disappointed. I'm like, how could they play the same fucking set 2 days in a row in New York City? Like, I came to the show twice. I went to the after party. Like, I put on my fake leather pants for this, you know? And it's so funny to me now because, of course, they played the same set. They only had one set. They were like a new band that had just blown up, you know? Irving Plaza seemed like the biggest venue on earth to me. But it wasn't. But I love this record, and I love the message. Yes, there's love if you want it. Don't sound like a sonnet. Right? I did this episode with my husband, Randy, which hopefully you heard. It's called Why Do We Fight So Much? And I think the idea that there's love if you want it, don't sound like a sonnet, really wraps up what I learned in month 1 of the show. When I had Dan Savage on a few weeks ago, he said, round up. That's the best relationship advice I've ever gotten. He said, there is no one. If you're lucky, there's like a 0.78 or like a 0.82. Round up. Make them the one. And that is the message of that song. All right, keep it moving. This is in no particular order. Rain on Me, Lady Gaga with Ariana Grande. If you're watching the video, you see that I'm actually in a Lady Gaga t-shirt right now. I was also in a Lady Gaga t-shirt last week and the week before. But I'm on my way. 40 minutes from now, I'll be taking my beautiful daughter to see Gaga at the Garden for my birthday. Because on my birthday, I like to go to church, and church obviously is the show. So I can't wait to take my kid to see Gaga. We have black and red outfits. The reason this song is on the list of all the Lady Gaga records, and mind you, she does not sing the song at the Mayhem Ball, because I saw the Mayhem Ball already once, and she doesn't sing it. And I love so many of her records. But the reason I put this one on the list is because right before the pandemic started, this album came out, Chromatica, like a month before, maybe not even a month before. And I called into, or one of the shows on Sirius XM had me like talk about this record because I was like, you know, the pop whore of like the volume 106. I was the only one who liked pop music. And I was like, I don't get this lyric. It doesn't even rhyme. And the lyric in the song is, I'd rather be dry, but at least I'm alive. Rain on me. I was like, I don't get it. Is it finished? What is this strange, odd lyric? And I read later that Gaga wrote it about sort of like her struggles with drinking, and Ariana's verse is about the terrible tragedy that happened in Manchester where there was a shooting at her show. But I'd rather be dry, but at least I'm alive. I was not with it. And then the world shut down. And I moved to my in-laws' house on Long Island, which was gruesome, but wonderful. # blessed, but also terrible. And I was DJing in the basement, right? This is my origin story. I'll tell it like I tell it on stage, which is I lost 15 months of work in 3 days. That's true. And I had the first and only panic attack of my life. Also true. And my brother was like, why don't you finish your degree to become a clinician, like a therapist, because that's pandemic proof, just in case this thing lasts like a year. I was like, this is going to last a year? I'm not going to DJ for a year? No chance. So we moved to my in-laws and I started going to like the dark space. And my husband kept saying, you should DJ on Instagram. But I didn't want to because Diplo was DJing on Instagram. And then Questlove was doing these like epic, brilliant sets on Instagram. And I was like, fuck, I don't want to do this. And eventually he said, what's the shortest amount of time you can do? And I said, I'll do 30 minutes, but I'll do it in the middle of the day on a break from homeschooling. And I called it indoor recess, right? Only 30 minutes. And he's like, okay. So I promised I would do it. And then the first day I showed up and I was like trying to read the room. I was like DJing, like, you know, I was killing it in my real life. So I was like DJing like I was killing it. Nobody watched me DJ. Not one person. I felt like a huge loser. The next day I was like, okay, I'm going to try something different. So I showed up, I had my records, and I would play records and talk about why I like them. I was like, oh, this song makes me feel this way, and this song makes me feel that way. Probably similar to what I'm doing now, except maybe less storytelling, more emotional stuff. And a couple people came, and I started to do that every day. I would show up in my Hestaprin merch t-shirt that looked like a gym teacher's uniform that I found in my in-laws basement. And I would put on all these like crazy costumes because my mother-in-law has like these like 80s clothes. I put on like a fur coat and I would DJ and talk about records and I would give myself a pep talk. And then eventually 10 people came and then 100 people and then 1,000 people. And it was on television and it was in the newspaper and it helped me. It gave me momentum and it gave me meaning. And I did it every single day. Every day for 10 weeks straight. And it's what brought me here. It's what really got me to, finish graduate school and become a licensed clinician eventually and figure out exactly what I was doing. Like, why were people responding to this? What was it that was happening? And why did it help me? So during this time, there was one song that helped me more than any other. And it was this song, Rain on Me, because I didn't understand the lyric until I understood the lyric. I'd rather be dry, but at least I'm alive. And when I would play these records in the basement and I would really like feel the music and I would vanish, I would just go somewhere else and close my eyes and really pray, which is what I do sometimes at like an EDM show or at a concert. If you see me, I go and I close my eyes and I connect my wishes to the songs and I surrender. And I would do that. And the lyric was, I'd rather be dry, but at least I'm alive. And it meant to me, God, I'd rather be DJing in the real world. God, I'd rather be out. I'd rather be with people. I'd rather be, but at least I'm alive. At least I have these records and I'll never be alone because when there's songs, you're never alone because every song is a different mood and a different window into a new world and a different energy that meets you. And so I love, 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 love this song. And I'm so grateful for this song. And actually I will speak my dream for this show, truthfully, because I should. It's my birthday. My wish, right? I love Lady Gaga so much, and my wish so much is that she will come on this show and talk to us about songs she loves and the songs that saved her. And I know that she used to do cocaine and write records in her apartment in the Lower East Side. That's like the famous story. But when I had really low moments, I would listen to Marry the Night. I would just listen to Marry the Night and walk around New York City. And it helped me so much. And I know that her music helps so many people. And I can't wait to go to the show tonight and be around all the people that she's helping. Okay, beautiful. Moving on. Jay-Z, Justify My Thug. This song is from the Black Album, which is my favorite Jay-Z record. It is not the best Jay-Z record. It is my favorite Jay-Z record, and there is a difference. The messaging in this song makes me myself. There are so many messages and so much meaning in the lyrics of the song that I connect to. And I actually did a post about this. But there is a lyric here that I taught my kid. When my kid was diagnosed with epilepsy, she understandably felt it was like very unfair. And actually, she didn't say that, but she said that it was almost as if her life was a painting. And it was in beautiful colors and it was perfect. And then someone took like a big marker and put like a big smudge on it. It was like a mistake. And I understood what she meant. And I told her, I was like, Jay-Z says, you cannot choose the cards that you're dealt. You can only choose how you play them, right? I was like, you got 5 cards. There's 5 cards in poker, and maybe you got like 2 aces, a king, and a queen, and then you got a 3. Epilepsy's a 3. That fucking sucks. How you gonna play this hand? And Jay-Z says, I just play the hand I'm dealt. I can't say I never knelt before God and asked for better cards, sometimes to no avail. But I never sat back feeling sorry for myself. If you don't give me heaven, I'll raise hell till it's heaven. Oh my God. I'm saying this from memory. I hope I got it perfect. I think I did. But this message, if you don't give me heaven, I'll raise hell till it's heaven. That's the lyric that's probably at the... That's the lyric that's probably at the, like, that's the most important lyric in my life. If you don't give me heaven, I'll raise hell till it's heaven. I think that the best thing we can do, and the best way we can use sort of like the difficulties in our lives and the things that we've been through, is to, you know, like Beyonce says, right, make lemonade. And I think Jay-Z puts it in this record, and the beat is so hard. And when I walk to it, I just feel like such a baller. And I'm like, if you don't give me heaven, I'll raise hell till I'm heaven. Look at me now. Look at me now, right? I love Jay-Z so much. All right. Moving on. We have a couple left. In the Light by Led Zeppelin. You know there's going to be a Led Zeppelin record on this. The reason that I love this record, first of all, I love Physical Graffiti. Any Led Zeppelin fans, please, where are you? Come to. I'm getting lots of emails with people's top 10 songs. You know, I'm getting lots of emails with questions about the show, but I would like the Led Zeppelin people to please step forward and speak with me about the songs you love. musicistherapypod@gmail.com. Okay. In the Light, I love Physical Graffiti, but I love this song because the lyric, and I'm actually going to look this one up because I don't want to get it wrong. But the lyric in this song, actually, I can't look it up, but I think the lyric goes something like this. And if you feel that you can't go on, just believe and you can do no wrong. And it's about essentially manifesting your dreams. I mean, it's so funny how many of the records I love are about manifesting your dreams, but this record really is about manifesting your dreams and about believing in your own vision, and not believing in what you see in front of you. And the song is in like 2 parts. And the second part has this beautiful, beautiful, I guess very proggy, right? This beautiful guitar part. Da, 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 da. It's like this inspiring, beautiful, inspiring lift to it. And so I love how the first half of it is very serious and very poignant about, you know, believing in your vision. Which is quite mystical because Jimmy Page, as we all know, sold his soul to the devil for 10 years with these other musicians who are top of the notch with no ego. And then the second half just emotionally lifts you through music. I also love how I think it's the song Remains the Same or Going to California. I can't remember which one. You can get at me. But there is a lyric where he says, I'm standing on a hill, something like, I'm standing on a hill in the mountains of dreams, telling myself it's not as hard as it seems. Or I'm standing in the valley in the mountain of dreams, something like this. But the idea is like, I'm standing on a small hill and I see that the mountains are my dreams. And I'm talking to myself and telling myself it's not as hard as it seems. I love that record. I love Led Zeppelin. Okay, moving on. We've got 2 songs left and they're both EDM songs. So the first one is Where You Are by John Summit. I've talked about this song on the show before. And this song has, you know, the lyric, everybody knows this. I was just DJing a party. I opened for Loud Luxury in Austin a few days ago, and I played this because it was like a real EDM room. And the whole room sings it. I got this feeling, I want to be where you are. I love it because I love the turn of phrase, where you are. Like, that's such an interesting way to say that. I got a feeling I want to be where you are. But I think this one is really a prayer. This is really a prayer. I've got this feeling I want to be where you are. If someone said to me, this is like a Christian rock, if this is a Christian EDM artist, I'd be like, I got it. When I was in Northern State, when we signed with Columbia, I used to go to the record labels and they would open these big closets and you'd take like all the CDs, and I would take like 1 billion CDs and like sell them. But I would listen to them first. And I found this band called Blindside, which is a Swedish band. And they have an album called... God, I can't remember the name of the record, but Blindside. And I got very, very into this first record of theirs. And it had a lot of like sort of similar themes to this. And when I started to go to Scandinavia, because the band was big in Scandinavia and I DJ in Sweden all the time still. When I started to go to Scandinavia, I would ask people, have you heard of this band Blindside? And I found out that they were a Christian rock band. And I was like, oh my God, okay, that makes sense. But there's a song called Caught a Glimpse on that record. It's about Jesus, apparently. And it's great. And I still listen to that Blindside record. But this record, John Summit, Where You Are, to me, has the same feeling. It's like maybe it's about love, but for me, it's about sort of like, as the Kabbalists say, cleaving to the creator. It's about like being connected to the universe in a very powerful way. And I was at, my husband shot John Summit's big show in New York, where that was like his, like 2 summers ago, it was like his big sort of like coming out, I am a star type of show. And I was there on stage, and that was really a powerful, beautiful spiritual music moment. The last song, let's wrap it up, is You're a Star by Fred Again, featuring Amyl and the Sniffers. I love Fred Again. I've talked about this a lot on the show because I went to 2 Fred Again shows like the first week that this podcast launched. And that, my friends, is a spiritual experience. 12 out of 10. Anyone who is there, get at me on Instagram. If you're not already at me, you probably are, or musicisTherapyPod@gmail.com. Also, I appreciate no one pointing out the accent that just came out when I just said the word all. Can we say it properly, please? All, or get at me. I don't like this accent. Okay. This song is beautiful because it reminds me, it's the most recent of these songs that I've connected to, right? It's my most recent song. But it's going to take me all the way back, full circle, because to me, the song is about like a teenager or like a young person in the suburbs. I'm just really writing my own story on this, saying like, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to, I'm going to be something bigger. I'm going to go somewhere greater. I'm going to do something more. I'm going to be part of something. For me, that's how I feel about music. I feel like music has been this vehicle, like quite literally, like this vehicle that has taken me from where I was to where I am. Of course, I'm building this, brand, Music Connection Therapy. I'm doing these events. I DJ all these parties. I do one-on-one sessions. Tomorrow, I'm going to do my big workshop that a lot of you are coming to. I haven't announced it because I have a lot of signups, but if you want to come and join, it's at 1 p.m. tomorrow on Zoom. The link is in the show notes. But I'm building this, and it's hard. I mean, it's great, but it's hard, and it's so much work. And like, I was 2 days ago, I was in California, Dallas. I took an Uber from the Dallas airport to the Austin airport because my flight got canceled. Then I flew home, and then I saw 8 patients, and I'm a mom, and it's awesome. It's like living the dream, but it's a lot, and it's a lot of work, and I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm going to keep, going until I get there, because that's what I do. But, music has been the thing that has taken me from where I started, none of which was my choosing, to where I am now. And on my birthday, can I say that I feel proud of where I am? Can we say that? Are we allowed to say that? I feel like I'm really the same person that I was when I held up that sign that said, everybody dance now. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it on the dance floor. I'm doing it with you. I'm seeing myself right now. If you watch us on YouTube, right, I see the video because I'm speaking to the camera, but I'm doing this with you right now. I feel so lucky that I've found a way to like get paid and make a living just talking about music. That's all I've ever wanted to do. And I'm so grateful that you guys are listening to this podcast. Like, when I was on the radio, I didn't have to, like, it wasn't up to me. If people listened, they either subscribed or not, but it's really up to you if you tune in, and it's up to me to say things that make you want to tune in. And I feel like I must be doing that because people are listening. And so I'm so fucking grateful that you're listening. I can be very insecure. And if nobody was listening, I would have a hard time. But truthfully, it's like when I did Into Recess. If nobody was listening, I'd do something different. Okay. Let's wrap it up, shall we? Now, I've told you some songs that maybe make me look cool. I've told you some stories that make me look like a fool or like a tool. And then I've just told you some stuff that I like. Next week we have Debbie Brown on. She's an incredible person. I was dying to get her on the show, and she wrote a book called Living in Wisdom that's very, very powerful. I really want you to hear that. But next month we're going to be talking about community, and I'm obsessed with my lineup. We're going to start with Diallo Riddle. Diallo hosts the show One Song. He's also, sometimes DJ and an always television show creator. He has 2 big TV shows, but he has this podcast that I'm a huge fan of. And so he came on and we had the best time. That's going to be the first week of April, second week of April. My homie Alan Light is coming on. If you don't know who Alan Light is arguably the most important living music journalist. And I also did a lot of radio with him, and he's brilliant. And we had such a fun convo. The third week, I'm going to have Shervin Leonez, who is a very, very famous rock and roll photographer, but I've known him since we were kids. I mean, he's even younger than me. So I've known him since he was like 20, and I can't wait to talk to him. I'm interviewing him tomorrow. And then my friend Heidi, who created my favorite party in New York, my very favorite dance party. It's called Friends from New York. Heidi's coming on the last week of the month, and they're all going to talk about community and how we use music to connect and how we can create community in this moment where everyone's so disconnected. But I'm trying to create community here on this show with you guys, and I think we're doing it. So let's wrap it up. For real. Happy birthday to me. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I'm going to go see the Gaga show. If you want to come to my birthday live event, it's an experiment. I'm going to teach you how to use music to change your life. I do it one-on-one. Like a lot of people have signed up, so I think it's going to go well. I hope it goes well. The link is in the show notes. You can get this fabulous playlist that I just walked you through also in the show notes. And let me know what songs you're listening to. Let me know what you're feeling. Let me know who you'd like to see on this show. Let me know who you are and how you are, because I love that we're all here together. Huge hugs and kisses. Everybody toast the new year. And the new year means my birthday. I'll see you next week. Thanks for being here. DJ Hester Prynne's Music is Therapy is a production of iHeart Podcasts. I'm your host, DJ Hester Prynne. Our executive producers are Marissa Bramwell and Jonathan Strickland. Our associate producer is Jonathan Klopp. Our marketing lead is Allison Cantor-Grapler. That's it.